Good afternoon, Mr. Wächter. Thank you for coming today. We are very pleased to meet you in person at last, and in order to know you a bit better, we want you to make you some questions.
Very good.
So, what does Academic Cooperation Association mean?
Well, it's the short, it's the abbreviation for Academic Cooperation Association, and it is two things. It is on the one hand a membership organization, an association of organizations in the single European countries who organize, for example, Erasmus exchanges, but also other exchanges at the higher education level, fund universities to make internationalization strategies and what have you. That is us as a membership organization. Secondly, we are also a think tank, or like to think we are a think tank. That is, we reflect on the issue of internationalization of higher education. That's our main theme. And we write studies and evaluations about that. We conduct international seminars and conferences. We run a news service about what is new in European higher education and a few other things. That's it in short.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wächter. My question is, what does Europe mean to you?
I mean, Europe means very many different things to me. I start with something that people perhaps forget because it's been around for some time, the European Union and European cooperation in a wider sense. For me, it's first of all the biggest peacekeeping operation that any continent, I think, has started successfully. So we had since World War II, if I'm not wrong, 2 wars in Europe, or 1.5. We had the Balkan Wars, and we had armed clashes in Ukraine. Some call this a war, some not. But otherwise, it's been kept peaceful. And that is a value which many people who've grown up in peace actually don't necessarily value. The second, it's a way of life. Perhaps I would say the same if I was Latin American and then I would travel my continent there. I don't know, but I've lived like this. All my career has been, or not all of it, but most of it, international and European exchanges, and Erasmus particularly worked with the program at practically every level. I mean, in Brussels and with the Commission, running a national agency at the university, even working in Erasmus before it was Erasmus, because there was an 8-year tryout from 76 onwards and was involved in a small way. I couldn't say that. I mean, when people ask me what my nationality is, I tell them I can tell you what my passport is. Where I belong, I don't know. I'm probably a migrant, and I want to be a migrant, a happy migrant. I'm married to not to a German. I'm German, as I said, by passport, but to an Icelander. So all my life has been very European. The third thing I want to say very briefly is that I think Europe is right now at high risk. We're at a point in time where the whole story could implode, and I think we all need to work against that. And you all, with Erasmus, with European exchanges, you're doing very important work also at this more political level, apart from the personal one.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wächter. I have 2 questions for you. First question is, what does internationalization mean to you?
This seems a very easy and simple question, but the answer is probably much more complex. It is, by the way, a term that has grown immensely in popularity and has become ever more unclear in this in its meaning, at least the use of different people of the term. I think if you'd asked this word 20 years ago, 25 years ago, everyone would have said international exchanges, of staff, of students, and everyone would say today, oh yes, this is very much part of it. But we've seen things added to the agenda, like, for example, elements of this internationalization at home. You don't necessarily need to send your students out, but perhaps you teach them in a foreign language, yeah? And not the language of the country where the university is located. There is another dimension that came to us with Bologna. We talked of internationalization in the context of Bologna. In this case, we simply meant that we would, together in Europe, all the countries, reform the system structures. That's something else than going to another country. I mean, there the international element is that all the countries together said some basic principles we will introduce everywhere. You have today, some people refer to online education as internationalization. I wouldn't, but I have no monopoly on interpreting this term. So we've seen a massive widening of the meaning anyway by most people. But that is what happens to popular things. Suddenly they mutate and they develop, but keep the name.
And the second question is, do you like Valencia? Is it your first time here? Do you like the city?
Your rector told me today that it is my first time. When I was 18, I spent an hour at your airport on the way from Lyon to Malaga, I think, but it doesn't really count, he says, and I think he's right. So here I come and I see what I've missed out in my life, a truly wonderful city, a lively place, an urban place, and I like urbanity and urbanism. So I'm very happy to be here, and I sincerely hope it won't be the last time.